The 35th America's Cup has begun. After all the preparation, all the hype and build-up, we're finally underway, and the pressure is beginning to build.
I think there's a lot riding on anyone that's in this game, for sure. We're essentially representing a country and a whole legion of fans, but you have to take that as motivation and encouragement. That's certainly what we do here.
Well, there's obviously a lot of pressure, but no, it's something I really enjoy.
One thing we have going for us is that we've been through some pretty tough situations over the past couple of campaigns.
It's not over. It's a long way from over.
We definitely face a lot of adversity along the way as well, with the capsize.
Crisis time for New Zealand.
You know, one thing is this team's incredibly resilient and, you know, they just bounce back.
I'm not taking this lighthearted. I'm expecting a real fight, not only in the start, but the whole way around the racetrack.
Everyone here's managed to come through under pressure and make it happen. And it feels like it's just going to come down to whoever sails best on the day, whoever makes those little decisions better.
You know, I think the day you think you've seen it all is probably the time to where you're done, and man, I'm a long way from that. Look, it's all about the now, and the history's history.
So hello and welcome to beautiful Bermuda, home to the 35th America's Cup, the great sound that flanks this stunning paradise island, the stage for all the drama, and it is a gorgeous day to be here, especially if you happen to be on the beach or on the water, soaking up all the sunshine. I'm Alistair Eakin alongside Ken Reid, veteran America's Cup skipper and president of North Sails. The match is delicately poised. Jimmy Spithill's USA trailing Peter Burling's New Zealand by a single point. So, two races on the card for today in this 1-to-7 contest. The Kiwis, with that slender advantage, they'll want to try and take a firm grip on proceedings this afternoon. Two more wins puts them 3-0 up. The Americans, 1-0 down at the moment, have to bounce back. So another wonderful Bermuda day. Conditions very similar to yesterday, with wind speeds of up to 12 knots, but out of the northeast today. The New Zealanders found the wind very much to their liking yesterday, but it is variable, and that makes these races very hard to call. So let's have a little look at how things broke down on the opening day of the America's Cup match. The defenders under Jimmy Spithill were full of confidence going in, but Peter Burling's challengers were not interested in making up the numbers. Let's take a look at how things unfolded on day one.
Here is what the world has been looking for.
So much strain and stress on each of these crews.
OCS, Oracle Team USA, OCS.
Jimmy Spithill has gone across that line too quick. It's looking like a really good start to the campaign from the Kiwis.
Look at that tack. I mean, just flawless.
So now this lead being built to almost 500 meters.
Pressure coming, take us or no? A little low now.
This is not an easy way to finish right now. Oracle coming in fast right now, really fast.
Let's get to 10, boys. We're really striking the light.
Kiwis know how to make it interesting.
But other than a few hiccups towards the end, the New Zealanders have made a storming start.
Well, it's incredibly tricky conditions here today, and I'm really pleased to be back on even leg.
Race number 2, Jimmy Spithill has really gone after it this time around, determined to make up for the error.
Acceleration contest now. Who's up on their foils and who can accelerate the quickest? Burling, 2 for 2 on the starts. Wow.
New Zealand is absolutely tearing it up at the moment.
Shifty out there. Very, very shifty in the wind.
Big trip, big trip. It's going to be a foiler.
They're somehow clawing their way back into this contest, the Americans.
Wow.
Spithill is breathing down Burling's neck right now and applying the pressure all the time. This is game on.
Oh, disappointment for Oracle Team USA fans. They lost almost 300 meters in a jibe.
Laying down the gauntlet to the Americans, the Kiwis have torn it up, and the Americans now have it all to do.
These guys at the end of the day made fewer mistakes. Good news is they're only one back.
If Oracle's good news is they're only one down, what do you take out as your good news?
Well, I suppose that you're one up.
So no shortage of motivation for both these teams. Going into this contest this afternoon, the resumption, race 3 of the America's Cup match, just a short time away now. And the Kiwis will have been thrilled at the start that they've made. They were faster in both the starts, an area that the Americans had thought they might be vulnerable. And whilst they weren't immaculate, their boat speed throughout was very impressive. Alec Wilkinson spoke earlier to their helmsman, Peter Burley.
You know, we've made it no secret we're here to try and win the America's Cup. And, you know, to do that, you've got to be able to win 8 races and you've got to win the last one. So now for ourselves, we're just trying to keep improving, keep learning, keep pushing forward. You know, obviously it was really nice to win 2 yesterday, but that's what we're trying to do again today.
Massive support for you. Does that add pressure or does it boost you?
No, we love the support. You know, the amount of Kiwis that have travelled and, you know, cheering us on over here, and the amount of flags we see when we could drive in, and, you know, even the support we get back home. You know, get so many messages through social media and everything else. So, no, we really love the support we get from our fans, and, you know, it really pushes us to keep pushing forward and keep improving.
Just intrigued by how the two camps prepare for racing. Do you give a speech each day to the team to pep them up?
No, I don't think they need any pepping up. And I think that's the great thing about our team. You know, everyone's been in, you know, high pressure environments before. Everyone knows exactly how to get themselves ready and, you know, exactly what it takes to win these races. So, no, we're just taking it pretty easy, and obviously just trying to do all the little things well. So, no, we're really looking forward to getting out there and racing again today.
Well, it seems like ages ago that Peter Burling lost 6 starts in a row. At the time, he appeared happy enough just getting to Mark 1 within shouting distance of his competition. And then there was yesterday, 2 for 2. Maybe a time and distance software issue on Oracle, but nonetheless, 2 dominant wins off the line by Burling. Remember, the Kiwis have won every single race in which they've led at Mark 1 since we've started here in Bermuda.
The Americans had some serious thinking to do last night. It was a chastening first day on the water, comfortably second best. They struggled to mount any sort of challenge. Helmsman Jimmy Spithill seems pretty relaxed about the scoreline, though.
No, it was a good day just to get in there and get it on the water and get it done. You know, obviously it would have been nice to take a win out of yesterday, but we certainly took a lot of lessons out of yesterday. And, you know, that's the position we're in with a bonus point. You know, we're only 1 down.
And how important is it for you guys psychologically to come back today?
Oh, you know, obviously it's really important to try and go out there and get a win, if not a couple of wins on the water today. We've got great conditions. We've made quite a few changes to the boat, learnt quite a lot looking back through the racing and some of the, you know, the few things that we had to change. And went for a sail this morning. The boat's feeling good.
Well, a friend of mine texted yesterday and asked, does Jimmy Spithill like coming from behind in these America's Cup finals? I think I can say for a fact the answer is no, but yesterday was certainly a wake-up call. There was one similar fact to how Oracle sailed yesterday versus the early going in the last Cup in San Francisco. Upwind, they chose to sail very tight angles to the wind and at a slower speed, and look for that trend to stop immediately.
Well, the stage is set, and we're going to get our first look at the course. Ken, what a place to go sailing.
Well, this course is getting crazier out of the north today. Welcome to the Great Sound and the gorgeous setting for day 2 of the America's Cup. The L-shaped race course features a 2-minute start sequence, followed by the critical reach to Mark 1 and 5 quick legs with and against today's easterly breeze, followed by a quick burn to the finish only meters in front of America's Cup Village.
And here's the start line. Ken, there's a reason, isn't there, why you wouldn't necessarily take the shortest route to the first mark?
About 20 meters in distance. Obviously, you can see down at the bottom, at the left-hand end of our screen, this is clearly a shorter course to the mark number 1, but this is the fast course to mark 1. Look for the 2 boats to try to line up the end of the line that they think is going to work best for them, and then there's, of course, the dog fighting. You never really know which end you're going to be at. Your competitor determines that as much as you do.
Yeah, we got this blue instead of boat.
So the New Zealanders have port entry for this first race of the day. They get to enter the starting box 10 seconds ahead of their opponents. The pre-start, as ever, a key battleground. Let's check in with Joey Newton for the first time today, an America's Cup veteran, member of Oracle Team USA, here out on the water for us. Joey, what do you think Jimmy Spithill will have taken out of yesterday regarding his approach to the starts particularly?
Well, you know, Jimmy was pretty disappointed with his start yesterday in both of those races. So he had a really big debriefing session with our coach, Philippe Presti. I wouldn't expect him to see the same rates as yesterday. Oracle have got a different configuration today. The USA team have got their high-speed boards on, where the Kiwis have still got their low-speed boards on. So expect to see a bit of a differential in speed on the reach and across the rest of the course, hoping to the USA to be a little bit more competitive.
It's amazing how we're right at this transition zone. One team with the high-speed boards, the other team still with the low-speed boards. That can make for a big difference from time to time, especially on this first reach, as Joey just said. So here we go.
He's up hard.
Race number 3 then underway, and Jimmy Spithill's Americans needing to come up with some answers to the questions posed by Peter Burling's New Zealanders. Kiwis having wiped out that 1-point advantage that the Americans had straight away. They're the ones in front in this match now. How are you reading the pre-start, Kenny?
Well, for sure, Oracle leading back or pushing back pretty aggressively. They went much further down, deeper in the box today, in the starting line box, and all of a sudden, trend yesterday of getting back too early doesn't seem like it's going to continue today. Spithill aggressively going after and trying to push Burling down into that tough little zone, that lay line, that yellow line on the side of the race course. You don't want to go much beyond that if you're Emirates Team New Zealand, because it makes it hard to get back to the line. Right now, it's probably time and distance. These guys are pretty much sending it for the starting line right now with only 10 seconds to go.
The timing, critical. The speed of both of these boats, excellent. Jimmy Spithill this time is straight across the mark. No penalties to either team, and they are up on their foils. They are storming it towards Mark 1. They're already approaching 30 knots.
With your high-speed boards in, you would think you'd be quicker on this reach if you're Oracle Team USA. And they get over the top. There's a little burst of speed. I think they're going to get over. Wow, all of a sudden, they just sent it over the top. But there is an overlap between Emirates Team New Zealand. This is going to be very tight as to who can get into the box.
And the New Zealanders have put in the protest against Oracle Team USA. There is no penalty. Jimmy Spithill is free to go as they turn around Mark 1 and head downwind for the first time in the race, and 40 knots of boat speed from the American team. It is an impressive statistic so early on.
Look for Emirates Team New Zealand to jibe. If they think they're going to get rolled over the top, there they go. They're going to jibe early and try to split and use their speed. This is a shorter run than normal. Oracle would be protected by the boundary, so they could jibe here in a second anyway. Within 3 boat lengths, there they go. There, both boats go on the really a critical time in the race so early on. Oh, not a perfect jibe by Oracle Team USA.
Dig it in, dig it in.
Watch for the wing wash of Emirates Team New Zealand here.
Let's just soak here.
They're soaking. You hear Peter Burling, that's called the soak. They're heading away from the wind to try to use their wing wash to slow down Oracle. They win the first battle. It took this long to sort out who was going to be first at gate number 2.
So the New Zealanders seemingly always comfortable when their superiority is questioned. The Americans got off to a good start, but it is the Kiwis and Peter Burling out in front as they head to gate 2.
Oracle's going to try this tricky maneuver to try to split sides of the race course right away coming out of this gate.
Up in 2.
So a split course.
Lower down 0.9, please. Breeze at 118.
Kiwis flying off at 5-6 knots quicker than their opposition at this point. Gap has narrowed a little now.
Go.
If we go back to this starting sequence, they were still essentially a tie ball game. Oracle jibes, Emirates Team New Zealand jibes. A little splashdown by Oracle. That's all it took. That was it. That was the difference between being ahead of the first gate and being behind, because it allowed Emirates Team New Zealand just to go slowly down over the top of Oracle and use their bad, dirty air coming off the wing and pushing them backwards. And look at it. It opens up to a 150-yard lead in no time. One tiny mistake.
Well, the Cyclaws are head down and just trying to pump as much energy through the system as they can. Power up the boat. Everything needs to be manipulated by that hydraulic power.
11 to 12 knots of wind speed right now, which you would imagine would be good for Oracle. Oh boy, you look out on the race course and...
Tell you what, that wasn't too far away from being pretty disastrous from the Americans. There was a big slip as they switched sides there.
Carbon fiber is not very cushioned. Yesterday we had very shifty conditions. Today, not quite as shifty, most likely, because the wind's kind of coming into the Great Sound from the ocean.
Up on the foils for the entirety of the race, these two. But it is the Kiwis who are flying at the moment. Let's bring in Joey Newton, part of Oracle Team USA. Joey, is history repeating itself out there today?
Yeah, seems a little like it, Ali. There was just that one little mistake that Oracle made in that dive that you guys are talking about that sort of cost them the bottom mark. They split the other way, and Kiwis got a nice little shift. And what you're seeing is the lead now. The Kiwis sailing very well, though. They're sort of attacking in the right spots. It's going to be hard to overtake them unless they make a mistake.
I think technically, Ali, the Kiwis were ahead at that first mark, so I'm going to stick with that as for being that 100% number of never being passed in any race in this entire event so far is really incredible. That's a fast boat. We always say a fast boat's a tactician's best friend, and it's a fast boat.
Worth having another look at these foils, because there was a lot of chat about whether the Americans would actually try to tweak their foils and put a different style of tip on to assist their progress today.
Yeah, we'll bring Joey back in, but not only did they tweak their foil, they just changed them. They put their heavy air foils in. So Joey, we must be right at that trade-off between high speed and low speed boards for you guys for Oracle Team USA.
Yeah, that's right. We're actually we're pretty comfortable into our high speed boards in this much breeze. The Kiwis seem to take their low speed boards up the range a little bit. So their low speed boards are aimed at a slightly higher wind speed. And as we saw in the race yesterday, when it got really light and Oracle gained a lot, that was obviously below their board's threshold. High-speed boards should be a little quicker today for us, but the Kiwis have a pretty nice habit of being able to get their low-speed boards to work, and they're doing a great job with them at the moment.
It's a nice habit to find.
Oh, boy.
Kimmy, gotta go. Got no comms.
Here, Tom Slingsby on board, the tactician, saying, Jimmy, we got to go. I think that's because they're close to the ley line for the gate, but I'm not so sure they were. Very interesting. If they're going to actually be able to lay the gate, they tacked well early of the boundary. You wonder if they're going to be able to make it through on just one tack. Again, you want to minimize these maneuvers. It looks like they're close to that left-hand side of the gate. Up here, the left-hand side of the screen, upper left.
Round the gate, and again, this smooth manoeuvring, which has become their trademark. The New Zealanders comfortable in their lead, seemingly.
They don't lay the gate. This is a kind of a costly maneuver here. They tacked early. They weren't to the boundary and didn't make it through, so had to do one more tack.
Just a little more instability in the American operation at the moment, though the speed is excellent as they round that gate. A lot of ground to make up, but they are managing to minimise that just at the moment. We saw yesterday, shouldn't be forgotten, Kenny, we saw yesterday a lead of 600 metres wiped out across one leg of the race course.
Yeah, that was quite shifty conditions coming off the land. And back out to Joey Newton on the water. Joey, a little steadier breeze today maybe than yesterday, or is it still pretty fluky out there?
No, the breeze is a little more north, so a little more left across the race course. And that means the breeze, it's flowing over less hills, less land before it gets to the race course. So even though it is a little bit shifty, it's nothing like what we saw yesterday. And we've got a few more knots, which, as you know, it settles everything down a bit when you get a little more wind and speed.
Can't hear you, Sam. All good.
You look at the Kiwi line. The Kiwi line seems to be just a little more what we call open, or they're sailing deeper angles. They're sailing a lower angle possibly than Oracle Team USA, who's up here just trying desperately to do anything to get back into the race. It's a big lead.
We've spoken about it a lot, Ken, haven't we? But do we feel now it's about a Kiwi mistake if the Americans are going to claw their way back in from here? The last two legs are short.
Yeah, well, clearly desperate for a Kiwi mistake right now. The only time they ever make a mistake is right at that bottom gate or coming into the finish line to make things interesting. In the middle of the race course, they appear to be flawless. Holy mackerel.
To the left of your screen is our parrot cam, which is sitting on Jimmy Spithill's shoulder.
Big one and twist down. Yeah. There we go. Trim. Stable here, there's wide. We go right to, it'll be 1 and 2 go. Catch it down there if you want it.
And there's Peter Burley. You're effectively driving the boat now.
If you ever want to be on board a foiling 50-foot multi-hull, here's your chance, everybody.
Right breeze. Happy just to keep it faster around here and get into a meter a bit more. Copy. That's 5 away.
For sure, we've heard more chatter out of Glenn Ashby and Blair Tuke as we've entered this final round. I think it's just kind of a positioning of where all the microphones are. All of a sudden, we're just hearing a little more chatter from these guys, but not a lot.
Yeah, everything's relative.
Yeah, everything's relative, exactly. Anything is good for us at this stage, isn't it? We just want to hear what these guys are thinking, what they're talking about, what their strategy is.
So Burley looking calm as ever. Glenn Ashby playing on his Xbox in front, trimming the wing.
No winches, all hydraulic from a wing trim standpoint. We'll hope to kind of stick our noses into his cockpit here at some stage.
Hey boys, that's 5 seconds here. 3, 2, 1, here we go. Okay, remember you do? Yep, no.
That's from our drone out in the race course, Ali. We got cameras in all directions here right now.
Okay, good move there. What do you like, Cam? Yeah, you're gonna just press in this. You're gonna have a header.
Is covered.
Stand by. Yep. Yeah, mine. Normal speed here, guys. 4, 3, 2, 1. Turning.
Just waiting for the time when the drone can actually fly underneath the platform, because that's just about the only angle we can't bring you right now.
The natural progression going upwind as the boat ahead rounds that bottom gate, starts going upwind. They're going slower, so the lead tends to shrink a little bit as the boats go upwind, and then of course the boat ahead gets that opportunity to take off and use the downwind speed once they get around the top gate. Not the best tack by Emirates Team New Zealand there.
So the Americans needing something special from here. The last 2 legs of this race are not long ones. They do not have a huge amount of time, but they seem to be making some headway, Ken.
The Kiwis actually did a couple extra attacks there just to try to get themselves in the same order. They decided to give up a little bit of their lead in order to just touch base with the Americans.
Why would you do that?
Well, when it's puffy and shifty out there, it's more of a traditional match race tactics. You know you're going to give up a bit of lead. They had a 500-meter lead there for a bit. You're going to give up a little bit of that lead in order just to go sail in the same water and the same approximate wind pressure, wind speed, and wind direction of your competitor. Look at the angles to those boards. Very, very different. Very different, that kink in the dagger board compared to Oracle Team USA, which have much, much straighter foils. There is no shortage of innovation on this boat, whether it's the wing trim, the foil shapes themselves, the foil movement. You hear that, almost that groaning sound. That's the hydraulics of the wing. Look at that kink, a radical kink. According to Joe, we talked to Joey earlier, there's a maximum depth that the boards are allowed to be at under the boat, and that kink actually allows the board to be right at the maximum draft or maximum depth that the foils can be in the water.
Breeze 118.
So this is interesting to see the heart rates of some of the individuals involved. Josh Jr. up towards 90%, but I have a feeling these cyclors are able to generate the power just a little bit easier than the traditional grinders. The Americans obviously have a hybrid system. They've got one bike in the back. It's going to be something that we'll keep a close eye on over the course of the next week or so, because we'll get a proper read on it. Once we've seen more races, we can analyze that data a little bit more clearly.
Can't hear you, Jimmy, at all. Okay, copy. Sam, when we set up, just fucking go preset.
Apologies for the language.
A little frustration right now, I think, just in general on the American boat. They're not used to losing races, first of all.
Pretty nice there, Langer. Yeah. Come in there. He's not laying, he's going left gate. Copy.
Again, they'll be looking for a split at this top gate, anything right now. Now, you asked before, do you need a mistake? Well, at some stage of the race, you need not only a mistake, but a gift from the heavens.
An act of God.
An act of God, a massive wind shift, some sort of drama from your competitor. And as we've seen far too many times, these guys don't tend to give it away.
They tend to make it interesting right now. Watch this. This is going to be tight.
Yeah, this is Oracle is trying their hardest to try to create a bit of a situation on the race course. They wanted to. They're protesting the Kiwis. You wonder if Oracle tacked into that position to try to create a setup. That's kind of old school tactics as well. No harm, no foul. Umpires thought the Kiwis did everything possible to get out of the way. To be honest, I'm not even sure why they would have pushed the button there. That was it. They were the boat tacking.
Probably a degree of desperation at this point. They are so far back, and the Kiwis are heading up to the final mark, and then there will just be the reach to the finish. And the Americans at the moment cannot buy a race win.
Goodness.
This is looking ominous.
Not many people predicted this sort of domination, and this is absolute domination at this stage.
3, 2, 1. Don't breathe, boys. Twisting and hit it. Go, Louis, go, Louis. Nice, boys. Good job. Good side. Now, taking this down, big twist on.
Tom Slingsby onto the bike at 700 meters. Might as well be in the next country.
Sign of a leader, though. Good job, boys, trying to keep it positive on board, because Lord knows it's pretty easy to get very down when you have this sort of deficit.
So this the final mark that the Kiwis have to navigate their way around. They are on the reach now to the finish.
it's a pretty long reach today. Yesterday it had that quick little jog, almost a continuation of downwind, of going downwind. Today is very different. They're rounding a mark and they are screaming towards the finish line. They're probably tired of me saying this, but today it's just a pretty solid pitching wedge or so to the finish line.
All done with the minimum of fuss. Peter Burling and Glenn Ashby and Blair Tuke with this wonderful, seemingly wonderful distribution of responsibilities and labour. They have worked out an excellent system and their boat is very, very quick.
A few Kiwi fans waving their flags out front right now.
The New Zealanders picking up where they left off yesterday, ripping across the water and ripping into a 2-0 lead in the match. They've won all 3 of the 3, and they are leaving the USA trailing in their wake right now. Just looking in such dominant form. They've plowed their own furrow. They have done their own thing. They have trained in New Zealand away from the majority of the rest of the fleet. And they have been innovating. They have been coming up with a plan. And now they're executing it.
Look at the port rudder. Grab the dive here. Your right turn.
This is going to be a very uncomfortable last ride in for Jimmy Spithill and his crew. They would have been hoping to have at least remedied some of their problems overnight. It seems they are right up against it.
3 races in a row, right? Especially as the breeze came up today. I think everybody, at least around Bermuda right now, America's Cup veterans and pundits and all involved, thought the extra bit of breeze would be good for Oracle. And you know what? That first reach really told me something. That first reach, they had their high-speed boards in, and they had the opportunity from that higher speed position off the start line to possibly get a jump on it, and it didn't happen. It just didn't happen. And New Zealand did a really nice tactical job around mark number 1, fended them off on the boundary. One little slip up by Oracle, and off we go. 49 seconds. That's a big lead.
They've clocked up a couple of very big victories already, and the New Zealanders moving into a 2-0 advantage in the match. They've won all 3 of the races so far. Looking very, very strong. Obviously, the Americans winning the qualifying stage, so they came in effectively with a point advantage. The New Zealanders were 1 down at the outset. So here's a closer look at the race itself.
Well, this is beautiful time and distance from both boats. Remember, Emirates Team New Zealand is on the left-hand side, and there technically should be a slightly better angle from Oracle Team USA, plus they have their high-speed boards in. Somehow, the Kiwis make it stick. And as they're going down, this is the one tiny little glitch. Oracle from potentially a leading position, 1 splashdown right there after that jibe, and that's all the Kiwis needed. They pressed down over the top, they used their wing wash. You heard the disappointment on board Oracle when they had that little splash, and the Kiwis just take off. This is really a tiny little lead that they turned into a dominant one. Oracle does the split at the bottom gate. Listen, their boat handling looks great, their stability on the foils looks great. The problem is right now, they're up against what appears to be a faster boat. A little trickery maybe, a little head to wind by Oracle. They were going to be the attacking boat there. They pushed the button and try to find some salvation and maybe a penalty or they protested, but the umpires green flagged it as appropriate, and off to the finish line. Quick little red and black boat here that just keeps on winning.
Grab the dog here.
Let's speak to Jimmy Spithill, the helmsman on board Oracle Team USA. Jimmy, another race that's got away from you. What's the answer here? And were you hoping to fix one or two issues overnight?
Yeah, look, I thought the boat was going a lot better today. Felt pretty competitive. We're able to get sort of off the line well and get around that mark just in front, and then unfortunately we just didn't pull that jibe off, and they were able to roll us out of the jibe. So, you know, tight race, boys kept fighting, and, you know, we're just going to go into this next one swinging.
Were you expecting, Jimmy, with the higher speed foils in today versus their low speed foils, you might have a bit more edge on that first reach to Mark 1?
Yeah, I thought we would roll them earlier. You know, it basically took us until we got to the mark and made the turn. But, you know, we've just got to keep pushing. You know, I thought the boat's going a lot better than it was yesterday, and it seems quite competitive.
Thanks for your time, Jimmy. Good luck for the rest of the afternoon. So let's speak with Peter Burling, the helmsman of Emirates Team New Zealand. Peter, 3 from 3 in the match so far. You're 2-0 up. This is just going as well as you could possibly have imagined. Tell us why.
Yeah, everyone. When they hit how we sailed yesterday, I think a lot of the things up today.
Okay, I'm sorry, we can't hear you properly, Peter. So we'll try and fix that and be right back to you as soon as we can.
Can you hear me there?
Oh, that's a little bit better. Have another go.
Maybe I'll hold it right in front of my mouth.
That's the one.
It's key to a microphone, Peter. Hold it in front of your mouth. That a boy. At least you did one thing wrong today. That's all we can count so far. Not bad. Not a bad start.
Yeah, well, everyone gives me a bit of shit about how hear me.
All right.
Just think it shows you how.
I think this isn't.
It wasn't you.
Actually user error. This is.
It wasn't you. We're giving it to you.
Yeah, we'll reconvene on all of that. Here's some numbers, Ken. Pick your way through those.
Upwind speed of the Kiwis. We saw that when they were racing against Artemis as well. Even with their low-speed foils, they were really good upwind. And sure enough, very similar speeds downwind, but that upwind dominance of the low-speed foils of Team New Zealand, even when it's top-end range for those foils. So very, very interesting strategy and what boards they go with, and the rest of it was pretty even.
And we're going to have a look at the upwind legs.
Yeah, first upwind leg, you just see a couple discrepancies. You know, right in here, there's just a little bit of boat speed difference between the two. Tacks and jibe, tacks were actually pretty similar. Couple jibes for Oracle Team USA, not quite as good as we saw. Second upwind leg, one bad tack for Oracle Team USA. You can't do a tack like that and be 8 or 10 knots slower than your competitor and hope to win. You know, you just look at that average line, the average boat speed upwind for Emirates Team New Zealand is just clearly better right now with this foil package in the boat.
Well, sadly, we weren't quite able to hear from him this time, but of all the sailors in the America's Cup fleet this year, few have occupied the limelight quite as much as 26-year-old Emirates Team New Zealand helmsman Peter Burling, both in the press and in the grandstand. Burling's name has become synonymous with the Kiwi campaign, with huge legions of fans back at home and here in Bermuda following every step of the team's progress. Quite a burden, then, for the young sailor in his first America's Cup campaign.
The America's Cup gets a massive amount of support back home, and we're really privileged that, you know, we've got such great fans. We really do feel that support when we're up here, and, you know, the amount of messages and support we get, even people travelling up here to, you know, cheer us on, kind of really fires us up.
There's plenty of emotion when you talk about America's Cup in New Zealand. People are usually on the edge of their seats watching it and cheering on their home team.
Yeah, we've got quite a lot of history in the America's Cup. The event we had in 2003 was huge for Auckland and for the country, so it'll be a massive thing for us to be able to try and bring that back to New Zealand.
Pete Burling, who's incredibly aspirational, this is his big moment, his big chance. Having the whole country behind you can be a huge spur, but it can also be a huge responsibility.
You know, that pressure, a lot of it comes from, you know, how many fans we do have and, you know, how behind us the country is. And no, I more see that as a really positive thing. You know, we've got the greatest fans, you know, of sailing in the world, I reckon, and it's pretty cool to see the country get in behind us, and now we're really fighting for them now.
When you line up in the America's Cup final and you've got all of that attention on that one race, and you have to perform, and you're really on that world stage for that brief moment in time. You know, I think that's what most top sports people, you know, aspire to be able to do. And if you can focus under pressure at that moment, make the right decisions, that's the test. When you get out there, you're entering the start box, you've got to make good decisions from there on in, and if you can do that and execute it well, you're going to be in good shape. It's going to be interesting to see how this contest develops.
It's an incredibly tricky trophy to win, and we're just trying to, you know, go out there and give it our all, and, you know, try and win it.
Pete Burling's an incredible talent. You know, he's probably one of the most exciting, if not the most exciting, young sailor in the world. But there is nothing like an America's Cup final in sailing. You've got to be in it to experience it.
So Peter Burling and the Kiwi team taking a well-earned breather. They need the break. They need that rest. It has been very, very hard work for all of them out there. Every single race really takes them to the limit. The America's Cup, of course, has long been celebrated as a design and technology race as much as a sailing race. And in every new edition, we see a range of innovations that push the sport forwards. But innovation requires a balance of hard science and bold risk-taking. Get the combination right, and you could hit on a weapon that no one else possesses. Have the Kiwis achieved that this year with their cyclors?
Well, Emirates Team New Zealand, they're certainly known for innovation. The Kiwis have been doing this for a long time in the America's Cup. They have cyclers and not grinders. Pedal power is amongst us.
I think the scope of design has changed dramatically in terms of control systems. It is really where there's been an absolute sea change. These boats are really power hungry all the time. There's boards to move up and down, angles to change, and that's why it's important to get as many people as possible on the boat providing that power. For sure, bikes provide more power, you know, legs are bigger than arms, but I think there's another advantage in that most of the guys providing power also have other roles on the boat. By having our guys use their legs to provide the power, it frees up their hands. So, you know, really it makes more sense for us to use your big leg muscles to provide the power and your hands, which can make finer adjustment to do the controlling.
My role on the boat is the foil trimmer, so I control the foil. At the same time, I'm sitting on one of the bikes, providing power. If I can make the boat go fast and allow Pete and Glenn to hopefully put us in the right spot, then, you know, we should be in good shape around the track.
Something that, you know, has taken a fair bit of time to develop just because it's new, but, you know, we've been training pretty hard on bikes for a very long time, and we're really happy with how it's going, and we definitely seem to not have the same oil resource kind of issues that a lot of the other teams have, but, you know, it seems really good on the aero side and on the power side. We don't seem to be hurting too much on the corners, so we're really happy with it.
There is a trade-off. It takes longer to get from one side of the boat to the other. Getting on and off a bike, it takes fractionally longer than just jumping out of a cockpit and running to the other side. So everyone's looked at those trade-offs. We've gone one way and the other guys have gone the other way.
I think it's full credit to our designers actually having a package that's really fast that, you know, when you do sail it the right way, it does go really well.
From a design point of view, this campaign has been fantastic. It's really changed the boundaries of sailing. It is a combination. Everything is so interrelated. So it's really the team that manages to tie all those things together the best is going to be the team that wins.
So the work never stops for the grinders, whether they are on bikes or not. Ken, in your mind, how much of a difference have the cyclors made to the Kiwi challenge?
Well, everybody's focused on the power they're creating for the hydraulic system, but I think there's two other aspects that are far less talked about. One is the hands-free of Blair Tuke. He's controlling the foils and the positioning of the foils because his hands are free because he's cycling. He's not grinding, so you can spread out the responsibilities. The other one is windage. These guys very clearly have better windage. Everybody's tucked down into their cockpits. Look at that. There's no way they don't have a better windage package than the other teams do.
Well, down here out in front of the race village, it's not only the sailors and the cyclors of the America's Cup keeping the crowds entertained. Today's halftime show features the America's Cup Endeavour programme, the Cup's community initiative that uses the attraction and the dynamism of the America's Cup to inspire a new generation of sailors. This week it's been running the junior regattas, and out in front of us today, the kids of the RS Fever Fleet.
The Fever is a double-handed boat. It's really sociable, it's really good fun, it promotes teamwork, it involves working together. We believe that double-handed sailing makes a really well-rounded sailor. We've got 16 boats here racing from 11 countries. They're doing short course, America's Cup style race. We've got 2 days of racing, which we're going to try and get somewhere between 8 and 12 races in. They get a showcase race in front of the grandstand, treated like rock stars. It encourages girls, you know. We found that girls at 10, 12, 13 just want to be sociable and they just want to sail together. And the Fever is probably the only class in the world that has 50% participation amongst girls.
We started in the Endeavour program, and I started by the after school, and 6 months ago we started sailing Fevas. I like feeling how fast you go, like when the wind is whipping against your face, like you have a sense of pride that you're going super fast. I feel very proud. If you have a positive attitude, you can do a lot of things.
Those 2 girls, perfect example. And actually, when we had the first practice race yesterday afternoon, led the fleet to the windward mark, and that was amazing. It's not just about sailing, it's about education, and we're a big believer in that. We want to use sailing as a way to educate young people. That all wrapped together has ended up with this unbelievably magnificent event, which money can't buy for these kids.
Great to see the youngsters out there enjoying themselves. Hopefully some of them will graduate to the big stuff in the years to come, the Spithills and the Burlings of tomorrow, who knows? So let's have a word with Joey Newton, part of Oracle Team USA out here in Bermuda, and no doubt a little anxiety creeping in around this time in the camp. Joey, we listened to Jimmy Spithill, and he was busy telling us that it had been a tight race and the boat was operating rather better than yesterday. But by my reckoning, you've now been beaten by 30 seconds, 1:28 and 49 seconds. Those are not especially tight margins.
No, they're not, Ali, and I mean, I'm anxious sitting here in the camera boat, so I'm sure the guys on the actual race boat are feeling a lot worse than me. You know, they've got to change something. We went to high-speed boards today. There's a little bit more breeze now. They'll be hoping to get in front on the reach. Jimmy will probably be more aggressive in the pre-start, get in front on the reach and get their elbows out and just try and stop the pass. We saw, I don't think the deltas were really bad upwind. I think the boat speed upwind was pretty similar, but they'll be trying to get in front of the Kiwis downwind and just stop them getting around them.
11 knots of wind speed, Joey. Crossover time, or that's still firmly into the boards you have in the boat right now?
No, I'd call this 11 knots. It'd be a really great position for our boat to have its high-speed boards in. Like I said before, though, the surprise with the Kiwi package is their ability to drag those light air or low-speed boards up the range. They seem to be able to take them further up the wind range and not pay a big penalty for it.
Joey, thanks for your time for the moment.
Okay, guys.
Now, perhaps one of the most inspiring stories in this year's America's Cup is that of Oracle Team USA rookie Cooper Dressler. The 26-year-old Californian is as good an example any of us ever need, that with hard work and the right attitude, of course, you can achieve your dream.
humble, but for me, I'm not a cocky person. I never in my life would imagine that I would even deserve the opportunity that I've been given here. And I think in a way that helps me because it reminds me that I have to work extremely hard to validate for myself that I'm in the right place, that I have what it takes to be where I am.
The story of Cooper Dressler on board Oracle Team USA, and proof positive that persistence pays off. I guess hard work and commitment really does yield results. Race number 4 then coming your way very shortly. Jimmy Spithill and Peter Burling preparing to go head-to-head once more, and the Americans needing to come up with something. No doubt there will be concern in their ranks at this stage. Something has to change if they're to find a way back into contention. 2-0 down in the first to 7 contest. Here's how they line up for this next race.
Well, for Oracle Team USA, it's certainly never panic time, as we found out in San Francisco, but it's certainly nerve-wracking right now. Look for Jimmy Spithill in this I think he's going to try to make something happen. They got a week off, right? This is that classic. You got a long time before you take a break. You have to do something special. They need this race, and he's going to try to stir it up in the pre-start.
All eyes will be on the aggressive tactics of Spithill, but Peter Burling just seems oblivious, impervious to all the jibes, whether on the water or indeed off the water. He has everything in his control at the moment, and how he would love to finish off the day with another race win to move into a 3-0 advantage before they head to next weekend. This is their team for race number 2 of the day.
Well, for the Kiwis, what can you say? Don't do anything different. I mean, they're best off the line. They're going fast in that first reach, and they get just barely ahead and stretch it out. So, honestly, if you're the coach right now and Mr. Burling looks at you and says, "What do you think, coach?" You say, "Don't change a thing."
So more of the same required for the Kiwis. This is where they all get underway. Ken, explain the 2 different paths they could take to Mark 1.
Well, only 10 meters difference between the 2. That low speed end, that slightly tighter angle to the breeze at 715 meters. So yeah, even less. So look for this as a pretty even start, and to be technical, the longer end of the starting line actually should be quicker this time. There's not much of a difference in the meters from to mark number 1. So again, I just can't get it out of my head. I think Spithill's going to stir it up and try to create something something special to happen for Oracle Team USA.
So Jimmy Spithill, the pit bull, who loves to taunt his opponents, involve himself in the mind games, and listening to him, it was just clear he's talking up his team, he's talking up his chances, he's talking down the drama of the defeats. It worked very well 4 years ago for him. So USA with port entry this time for the last race of the day, race number 4. Maybe the tactics will be a little more aggressive here from the Americans if Joey Newton is to be believed. New Zealanders have done a really good job, though, Kenny, haven't they? Not just in the pre-starts, but in the races as a whole, of essentially staying out of trouble, staying clear of the paws of Jimmy Spithill, staying out of reach.
That's a very fair point, and that's exactly right. The pause, that big, you know, you mentioned that the kind of the taunting. Jimmy, it's very clear, he kind of likes playing the mind games a little bit. Well, either Burling is deaf and doesn't hear it, or he just simply doesn't care. Now here, as we're saying this, you see Emirates Team New Zealand on the left-hand side of the picture right now, going very slow. Either they got a problem or had a really, really bad jibe. I'm not sure which. And here comes Spithill, going right at him with 1:21 to go before the start. This is going to be a little bit different.
We're just below boat, mate. We're going to hook him. We're going to hook him more.
Race number 4 of the America's Cup match, USA against New Zealand, Spithill against Burling, the defenders in some trouble. Last chance today for them to rescue this situation and spend their next few days rather more free of angst and worry.
Emirates Team New Zealand entered this start line box and immediately had either a bad jibe or a mechanical problem. Here's their jibe. They're trying to follow down Oracle. This is the jibe. Something, Burling just kind of stops there for a second, whether they have lack of power, something went really horribly wrong, and it has set them up to be in a kind of a tricky predicament here. They're being put very early to the start, Oracle trying to hook them. He's defending it. He's defending it incredibly well. He's really in a tough spot, and Emirates Team New Zealand could be in a good position coming off this line. Incredible comeback in this pre-start by Emirates Team New Zealand.
Well, that is the hand-to-hand combat that you've been mentioning throughout this America's Cup campaign. The New Zealanders off out in front yet again and holding off the challenge of Spithill in the pre-start.
Very similar to the last race, except they've swapped sides. Can Emirates Team New Zealand reach over the top of Oracle Team USA by the time they get to Mark 1? They've broken the overlap, it appears. Now will they reach down over the top? And they are.
They're going 4 knots quicker.
They're going to use their wing wash again here and slow down Oracle before they get to the mark. Man, oh man, 4 races in a row.
There's the wing wash, there's the disturb there that Ken has been referring to, causing all kinds of bother for Oracle Team USA. Frankly, right now, that will be the least of their concerns. They've got to find a way into this contest somehow. They've been taken to the cleaners, frankly, in the opening 3 races.
More knocking pressure.
Being put to the test. Jimmy Spithill was expecting the battle of his life, as he explained in the pre-match press conference. He's in it. He's in the thick of it right now.
Very similar to race number 1 with almost identical boat speeds going downwind. It's upwind that the Kiwis really had a dominant setup in that first race today, and this 11-12 knots of wind speed.
Consistently a couple of knots quicker. Upwind, downwind, doesn't seem to make too much of a difference to them. And the Americans have to find a way to negate that. Round gate 2, smooth as you like.
Yeah, I'd say it's more like a horn. Copy that.
Get the build on it. There you go.
Split course.
Feels like good lefty. Stand by. Get the bill gun. Stand by. Real wide.
Americans right now, Ken, they need wind from somewhere to really propel them forwards, don't they? Because they're in big trouble.
I wish we could say their maneuvers were slower. I wish we could say their tacks were worse, their jibes were worse. It's clearly they haven't been getting off the starting line, but the fact is they look pretty good. You know, it's not like in the earlier rounds and the times that we would see a team make one big critical error and lose 150 meters immediately. This is like a slow trickle death, you know, that is just 1 meter at a time. And consistent. Kiwis will tack to stay in the same water again. They're going to give up a little bit of their lead, not go all the way to the boundary, tack in the middle of the race course, and only slow down to 19 knots in the middle of that tack. So you can tack as much as you want if you're only going to slow down at 19 knots.
Giving the rumble on, it's starting to go right. 200, Tommy. Copy, yeah.
Kyle Langford, the wing trimmer, and Tommy Slingsby, the commentators on board.
So the Americans tacking, the course laid out for you there, bottom left of your screen. That's where they are currently.
Bit of a match race going on here, Ali, where Emirates Team New Zealand is now kind of tacked in a fairly traditional match racing position on top of Oracle Team USA. We look at these boats, and this has been consistent, whether Emirates Team New Zealand was sailing against Artemis or against Oracle. The Kiwis just look like they point higher all the time. And we're going to try to get a visual here in a minute.
Okay, boys, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It shows just that angle difference. It's something, as a sailor, we love the fact that you can point higher than another boat. You wouldn't think it would be a big deal in foiling catamarans that are going 25, 27 knots upwind, but any little advantage, that VMG advantage that I've been trying to train you about, it's not very easy to do.
It's a slightly complicated thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
The boat's velocity in the direction of your destination, essentially.
That's not bad. We're trying different phrases all the time. That's not bad.
Getting there.
Yeah. It's like they're low. Okay.
But the angles, I think, are relatively straightforward. Because if you can get a sharper angle up to the gate, then you're making more ground up the course, aren't you, per maneuver?
Every time we talk about this and how the Kiwis are dominating, then you go down the bottom of each of the sides here, and USA is actually going better as VMG upwind. They might be in a little bit more breeze. Here comes another tack from Oracle Team USA. Again, they've been really good on the tacks. They've been really solid on the maneuvers. I'm going to guess that they're really pleased with how those are going. Let's go back out to Joey Newton for a second on the water. And Joey, the maneuvers look great. The tacks look great. The jibes look, for the most part, great. Just a little off the pace.
Yeah, it's certainly what it looks like, Ken. Kiwis again, a pretty slippery downwind. I think USA paid a little bit to split at the bottom, and then they've just been hanging in their upwind. But the Kiwis doing a really nice job of just tacking in the right spot, spending a little bit of their lead early on to get in between Oracle and the marks, but now they're just tacking in the right spot. They're finding the shifts and a bit more breeze and tacking on them, and that's what's helping them extend so much.
Ali, when the boat ahead plays the wind shifts correctly, even if they're in an even boat, you're not going to pass them. That's the bottom line, and Joey's exactly right. They're just tacking in the right spot. They're minimizing their maneuvers. They're playing match race games and tacking on the other boat when they need to, and then they're splitting away from them here and minimizing a tack coming into the weather mark. So it's a bit textbook right now, to be honest. It's clinical at this stage for Emirates Team New Zealand.
And that seems to me to be a very good adjective to describe this man, Peter Burling. He is clinical, he is cool, but he's instinctive as well. You can see him checking, seeing where the wind shifts may be, seeing what the best path might be, all the time, eyes up. Very natural sailor. Everybody involved in the sport says what a natural talent he has for it. Started out, of course, in the Red Bull Youth America's Cup, came up through that program.
I mean, this is another launching going on right here, right now for the Kiwis. I guess we mentioned earlier that for Oracle, this is a big race because you don't want to go into essentially what's like a bye week, you know, but a week off, 5 days off on such a downer. But at the same time, they might be thinking, whoa, back to the drawing board here, and which is in its own way kind of shocking. You would have thought that after the last 2 weeks they had to develop their boat, they would have come out ready to start to do some thrashing, but they are clearly not the faster boat here, and the faster boat always wins the America's Cup.
We had that debate yesterday, didn't we? Ring rusty or rested. And it would appear that it's very much the former at the moment.
Stand by.
The Kiwis match tough, having come through the Challenger playoffs. And they are very much in charge of operations at the moment.
Not only must it be a blast to sail a boat like that on a day like today, but imagine how cool it is to be just crushing Oracle in the America's Cup right now.
The parrot's getting a workout. I hope he's taking his seasickness pills.
You look at
just effortless. It isn't effortless, of course, but
all the numbers, all the numbers down. He's got numbers on his wrist. He's got numbers here. He's got push buttons there. So we've been saying they cleared things out for Burling. Those are numbers that are to how the fast the boat's going. They're going. Let's see. They're going 32 knots. I got it. Got it. Let's take a look on the Parrot with Jimmy here. So the difference is that Burling is down in the cockpit all the time, right? That windage, that low windage, because Jimmy has to see up and over all these guys standing up in front of him, including Kyle Langford. And so we don't see down in his cockpit just because of the positioning of where these guys sit in their own personal cockpits.
And he's taking care of the winch as well now.
Really totally different setups.
Bad job
he cleats down the winch. The main sheet runs across. Slingsby's already on the wheel, jumps in. Slingsby gets out of the way and hops on a little bike in the back, his hybrid system, and starts pumping some hydraulic fluid.
Big one there, boys. Dig it in.
You see those heart rates of the grinders. They're all much higher than the cycles.
They typically are.
Into that
no, exactly. They typically are, and I'm sure we can get a doctor in here and have.
Gotta go right mark again.
I'm not even going to speculate.
Recharge should be starting to stop it coming up.
You keep calling this a slick operation. I'd say that's the understatement of the century right now.
Still nice riding down here, 122.
Just barely see those hulls dropping, extending higher. They are moved as crisply as is humanly possible.
There will be a split at this bottom gate. Oracle jibing one and in to the gate right now, and they will take the other side. And it's, at least in this race here, it's becoming desperation time. They need, again, as we talked about in that last race, they need a bit of a wind shift or wind pressure miracle at this stage.
26s, boys. Big lefty. Yeah, don't chase it. Don't chase it. Yeah, just come up.
And the Americans hunting for wind.
Doing that. This with really wide pressure, all looks on their inside. Yeah, we're boundary here. Step by.
We are going to have to talk to the drone operators to see if we can get them to take a shot in between these two hulls.
Touch and go.
Over the last day.
Touch and go, which means it's not going to be a great foiling tack. A touch and go means that leeward hull is going to go in the water for a time.
BMG.
In the background, the stands and the people and the incredible race village that's been built here in Bermuda.
So heading up to gate 5, upwinds, and the wind shift only a small one to the right-hand side, Ken?
Yeah, tiny little wind shift. Again, they closed up a little bit because Emirates Team New Zealand did a couple extra tacks in order to just kind of control the situation. It looks like chaotic control, but it's control. They've positioned themselves in a similar part of the race course, almost directly upwind from Oracle Team USA. They've given up a little bit of their lead, but again, as a tactician or as a helmsman, you're looking over your shoulder downwind right now and you see Oracle in your peripheral vision and you're very happy, very content. They're not going the other way. I got this right now. And it's just a perfect setup.
It's becoming a pretty familiar sight for the Kiwis at this point. So effectively what you're saying is they've relinquished a little bit of their lead so they can have the Americans at arm's length. They've effectively got their fist on the collar of Jimmy Spithill, holding him back.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned it earlier in the broadcast, is you would have thought they'd have pulled out all their toys to come out of the blocks here. They've known for a good solid 4 or 5 days what the wind strength was going to be these first 2 days. That's about how good the long-term forecast, the long-term predictions. You know, you're going upwind. You look at the angle differences. Here's Oracle going up here, and there's Team New Zealand there. There's just a constant higher angle. And we saw it against Artemis last week. When they sail with these boards, they point higher to the wind. That is a better VMG. It seems to be really a dominant mode for them upwind, which is so powerful when you're match racing. Getting to know your new best friend just a little bit better.
It's not a conventional meeting position, is it? Unless you're canine.
There's got to be okay, that was almost too far. There's got to be a downside to everything, right?
So again, it is very hard to know what the Americans can do to force the pace from here. It probably is again reliant on an error, and a fairly sizable one from the Kiwis. I mean, if you are on the American boat right now, Kenny, are you just hoping beyond hope that next weekend the gales come?
Well, okay, that's at least it's a strategy. Hope, though, is not.
It's not a good strategy.
No, it's not a great strategy. They've all known for years what the average wind speed here in Bermuda was going to be this week. At least you take a guess at it, of course. It can be a little bit of everything. The wind gods do what they want, but I've seen somewhere between that kind of 8 to 11 knot range as an average wind speed here in Bermuda this time of year. I've seen it off of tons of different weather forecasters' sheets. Tacking. Hold on.
Yeah, you can see, when you see it up close like that, you can completely tell how simple it would be just to lob somebody off the edge. Wouldn't take an awful lot.
Nice rider coming on this.
Not just strength required from all those on board, a little bit of balance too. Into gate 5. They will go downwinds for one final leg. They will reach to the finish. And they will be feeling extremely happy with the way their campaign is progressing just at the moment. Concentration and focus required. But history tells us that they have that in spades. Just screaming across the water.
Happy forward.
Absolute dominance at this stage. So right in front, this is Peter Burling. Right in front is Glenn Ashby. Glenn Ashby is always down inside that little. You can see a box. He's got a box in his hand right there. I know I'm a terrible circle drawer, I've been told. He's controlling the wing trim, the twist, the camber, and the sheet, the in and out, all with his thumbs. There's no winch involved, there's no nothing. It's really a fascinating setup as to how they're taking the aerodynamic. We talk about the hydrodynamics all the time. It's the aerodynamic part of the project. There he is again. So let's zoom in. There's Glenn Ashby, that box that he's holding on to. and controlling everything. You see the wing going in and out right there, in and out. But it's not just that. He's controlling the twist of the wing, the camber of the wing. Absolutely revolutionary with regard to how they're trimming and how the setup of this boat works. It must be really strange for somebody like Glenn Ashby, who's been trimming sails and steering boats his whole life, to not have a rope in his hand. You know, it had to take some real getting used to.
A lead of almost 900 meters for Emirates Team New Zealand. The challengers. Beaten challenger, of course, 4 years ago from a position of enormous dominance, and whilst the Americans will be deeply concerned, they will also perhaps be clinging to a little bit of hope that they can find a way back in. It's not over till it's over. That's what San Francisco taught us.
Let's go back to Joey Newton for a quick second. Joey, it's going to be a long week, obviously, in the Oracle camp, but boy, oh boy, what can you pull out of the box right now? Do you think the Kiwis have been saving stuff themselves? I mean, is this a different boat than what you thought you'd be racing against?
It is a little bit, Ken. I mean, the America's Cup, it's about learning and evolving and changing and getting the boat faster as you go through the event. This boat we're seeing today, the New Zealand boat, it's quicker than the one we raced a few weeks ago. They've adapted and evolved a little bit quicker than the American boat. You know, we'll go away this week and they'll have some pretty frank discussions, and the guys would already be thinking about what we're going to do to mode the boat differently to try and match or leapfrog over the Kiwi boat.
It's happened before, Ali. It happened in San Francisco, but I tell you what, this just has a little different feel to it. I have to tell you.
Tearing down the runway. The New Zealanders' victory in their sights. Hordes of supporters on the shoreline. And of course on all those boats out there on the Great Sound too. It has been such a dominant, impressive display. Peter Burling at the helm. And right now the Kiwis are hammering the Americans. 4 races, 4 wins. They are cleaning up. And the New Zealanders putting on a show for all those watching here in Bermuda, and of course thousands, millions around the world too. Those on the North and South Islands will be delighted with what they've seen, hoping beyond hope that they can see it through all the way to the end now. Get it done, get it finished. Bring that trophy back to New Zealand. For the Americans, goodness, it's going to be a very uncomfortable few days for Jimmy Spithill and his crew.
A somber team, a somber camp right now for Oracle Team USA. A lot of somber fans here in Bermuda. I don't think anybody saw this coming. Maybe the Kiwis did, but I'm not so sure anybody else did.
And they're trailing in beyond the minute mark as well. The margins of victory, the margins are large. They really are big. No matter what Jimmy Spithill is trying to tell us, that was a pounding. And after 2 days of racing, the Americans are in big, big trouble. Not quite a crisis of San Francisco proportions just yet, but the red lights are blinking.
That's very well put.
Here's the race summary then, and the USA across the start line in front, only by a fractional margin. But the Kiwis, again, first to Mark 1, and then just taking off.
Last time around, this was about where the infamous John Kostecki, we won a lay day. You know, they got a few lay days, and then we saw some stern talking to from Russell Coots out on the water right after that. And I wonder if we're getting to that time. It's like you said, it's not crisis time, but certainly plenty to be concerned with.
Here's how it all broke down. The start was a real cat and mouse affair.
I really thought Oracle had a nice spot. For some reason, Emirates Team New Zealand had a really bad jibe entering the starting line box, and it was a boat speed contest, a good acceleration, and guess what? Kiwis were quicker. They got around the front of Oracle Team USA, and this is becoming all too familiar a sight if you're an American, if you're a fan of the Americans. These guys just sailed. They were just quicker. And when they get ahead, I know people are really tired of me saying it, but they just don't lose. They're ahead at that first gate and they extend, and holy mackerel did they extend. This one never got close. There was never a whiff of it for the Americans, and ripping across the finish line, going 35 knots, and to a lot of very happy Kiwi fans.
And the victory by numbers. Let's have a look at some of the key statistics.
Well, let's take a look at this upwind speed again. Not quite a knot faster, but certainly faster upwind. We'll go down to distance sailed. Look at the distance sailed. When the speed differences are that close, the distance sailed is the next one you want to look at. They sailed a lot closer. That could be that upwind angle that we talked about. It could just be playing the wind shifts better.
Okay, let's speak with Blair Tuke now on board Emirates Team New Zealand. Blair, congratulations. You are having quite the time of it this weekend. What are you putting your success down to? Because you are winning, but you're winning by big margins too.
Yeah, that was certainly another good day for us. You know, just scored another couple of points on the board's really good. You know, we got a couple of good starts, although that last one was pretty unconventional. But, you know, the boat's going really fast, and you know, the boys doing a good job just to get around the track nice and smooth, and you know, with boat speed and good manoeuvres, it's turning out quite nicely for us.
Hey Blair, can you take us through what happened in that pre-start? You guys came in and had kind of a shocking jibe there, or did something fail, or take us through what happened?
Yeah, so we just missed getting the board down. We turned a little bit early onto the board and basically just jibed before we had the board down, so we had to slow down and get the board onto its down position, and then we were ready to go again, and by that stage we'd wasted a lot of time, and then so we just decided to tack over, and from there we were still in a very compromised position, but you know, we managed to get some dirty air onto them on the start, and they couldn't accelerate to lord of us.
Blair, thank you very much for your time. Congratulations today. Enjoy the next few days, and we'll see you next weekend.
It's a high-speed interview.
Thank you very much, guys. Yeah, that was cool, eh? Andy did a good job.
Okay, let's have a word with Jimmy Spithill, the helmsman, of course, of Oracle Team USA. Jimmy, 4 races, 4 defeats, and by sizable margins. What can you do to turn it around?
Well, we've been here before. It's not over. We've got 5 days now, very important days. So we need to really go back tonight and use those days wisely. We've got to get faster. It's pretty obvious.
Jimmy, that pre-start was interesting, where Team New Zealand just kind of stopped around the starting line. You went back at them, no chance to really attack.
No, it was. We were thinking about going for the hook early, but there was so much time. If we'd hooked, he could have just tacked and bailed out and come back again at the line. We tried to do it later, and we just had a hard time making it stick. And again, their acceleration was pretty impressive off the line.
And it goes to that acceleration. I think everybody's surprised with the low-speed boards being able to hang in there and even be quick on that first reach. That's surprising.
Yeah, look, I mean, obviously we've got to go to work here. We've got to find some more speed. The good news is we've got 5 days. We've got 5 very, very important days here, and we need to get faster.
Jimmy, thanks for your time. Good luck.
Thank you.
So we've had a couple of enthralling races, not necessarily tight, but they have been utterly absorbing. Let's see some of the best bits of today.
Yeah, off the starting line, race number 3 beginning this morning. This was purely time and distance, and
all clear.
Again, everybody in the world thought that this was a position that Oracle Team USA would have an advantage over Peter Burling, but it was one little slip up on the jibe that really covered. It's right here where Oracle stuffed their nose in, went from potentially a bow out position to Emirates Team New Zealand being able to slide down over in front of them using their bad air. And you know what? The rest was history. These guys just legged it out from there. Emirates Team New Zealand, we keep talking about, if the boat ahead, A, maybe a little bit quicker, but B, just simply doesn't make mistakes. Almost got themselves in a little bit of a jam there, but no harm, no foul. If you don't make a mistake, especially on the wind shifts, you're never going to get around. And I mean never going to get around the boat out in front. And so, hey, I give these guys full credit. They certainly got themselves into an interesting mode. Race 4, the second race today. There was plenty of unconventional tactics in that one. I think part of it was probably not planned by Emirates Team New Zealand, but nonetheless, the same exact result. Boat speed off of that first reach. That forced split at the bottom gate, and holy mackerel, I mean, this thing just got turned into a whitewash in no time. You can hear it in Jimmy Spithill's voice. We've heard it before. We heard it in San Francisco. This is not over, but there are going to be some long, long hours spent in the Oracle compound to try to turn this thing around, because they are not nearly fast enough.
So the Kiwis are returning to the dock, and they look pretty happy about things. So too their supporters on the shoreline. Peter Burling with a big, broad, beaming smile. Let's have a word with Joey Newton, part of Oracle Team USA. He's been out on the water all afternoon for us today. Joey, commiserations on behalf of your team, but tell us, perhaps in a little more detail, if you are able to, just exactly what practical measures you can put in place to change the picture here now.
Well, Ali, the foils in these boats are the thing that's producing most of the speed. I mean, you know, Ken touched on a few other things, aerodynamics and so forth, but the things that the Kiwis seem to be going well at is getting their foils up and down the range a little better and always having a little speed edge. So, you know, that's where our team will be focusing on, and this America's Cup will probably be won or lost in this next week, and the changes that each team makes. And the Kiwis will be the same. They're not going to sit still. They'll have changes coming. They'll have ideas on how to make their boat faster. So it'll be the development and the boats that come out this weekend that'll win or lose this America's Cup.
So, Joey, a lot of us, the most obvious thing is these big kinks in the boards. Explain to people why it's just not so easy to go stick big kinks in the foils of the dagger boards of these boats at this late in the game.
Well, the boards are incredibly complicated to build. There's about 80 days of work in each one of those foils, something like 15,000 separate pieces of carbon fiber. So it's not like you can just snap your fingers and make new ones. But if you've got the components on the shelf ready to put on, then that's another story. And I know with Oracle, we've got a lot of those pieces in place, and we'll be trying them this week to get some more speed.
Joey, thank you very much for your time and for all your efforts over the weekend. And we'll see you again next week. Today's results then, New Zealand winning both races again, and by decent margins too. The standings therefore looking like this. New Zealand having won all 4, but they are 3-0 up, remember, starting on -1 point due to the American success in the qualifying stage. First to 7 race wins for the trophy. Now a chance to draw breath a little bit. The match resumes next Saturday. 2 more races. Who knows what the conditions will be like? Perhaps it'll be all changed. Maybe the wind will pick up and American fortunes will change. They will certainly hope so. But phase 1 of the 35th America's Cup match is complete.